Hey, Anthony. So what's with all the color with you, and why am I in a black pit of doom?
Because that's where you live.
That's a good point.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you, Anthony. Now, this is really strange because we're actually in the same room over here at the Nomad Las Vegas. Hey, we can't, but we're on opposite ends. Hey, Colleen, great to see you. It is so good to be here in Las Vegas, man. Although it is really weird that I've got this this strange setup here. I'm like Doomcock from YouTube, the future rule of the earth. I'm down here in the middle of the universe here.
Well, you look like you're about to go on stage in Vegas. And
That's true.
And I look like I went on stage in Vegas. Now I dropped some mushrooms.
Yeah, you certainly did. So, Anthony, we're here in Las Vegas, and I got to tell you, it is so cool being here once again. Last time when I was in June, it was a big party free-for-all, right? Everyone was a little bit more relaxed. Things have gotten a little bit tighter. People wearing masks and stuff like that, but it hasn't seemed to damage or infect the enthusiasm here. I'm seeing a lot of events that are taking place at all these buildings. In fact, I'm here for Best Western's annual conference getting started today here this week. So a lot of positive energy around here.
Yeah, it's positive. And wearing your mask is not a big deal, although, wearing it for 12, 13 hours is a little tough from time to time.
I got my special Bellagio mask that I got last year.
There was somebody talking to a bunch of us, and they were like, I'm done with the mask, and I didn't get vaccinated, and, I don't wear my mask around here if I don't, when nobody's looking. I'm like, okay, you just told everyone that you're not vaccinated and you're not wearing your mask. Like, are you trying to get us on your side?
I know. I don't know. I guess to each their own. For me, I like to be a little bit more cautious, for example. Now, listen, Anthony, I went into Manhattan on Saturday night. It was the same kind of thing. It was unbelievable. I took my wife Aline to go see Hamilton. We've been waiting 6 months with tickets to go see it. We finally went in there. What a perfect night. Not only was the weather perfect and everybody was out on the streets eating and drinking, having fun, but it just felt like the city was back in a big way, like we've been talking about. But even here, it was more over the top, so packed. I've never seen Times Square so busy in recent memory. It was unbelievable.
And how about Hamilton? Was it amazing?
Hamilton was amazing, but it's strange because I've seen it on Disney Plus like 85,726 times. Not that I'm keeping track, but one of the things that was weird was seeing different people in those roles, right? Because I've gotten so accustomed to it. We know all the beats of the songs and the little nuances they put in. So after the first 10 or 15 minutes, then you start to realize, oh, this person's better than that other person, or this person brings an interesting perspective to the role. And I got to enjoy it in a whole new fun way. Plus, we were front row mezzanine, like right over the stage. And it was just so much fun.
Listen, you were in the room where it happened.
Yep.
Most important.
Oh, I wish I was near my thing to hit the drum roll thing. But, oh, well, what are you going to do? No, not that button. One lower or two lower. Never mind. Don't even. Hey, there we go. I can't believe you did a sound effect. That's pretty awesome. All right, everybody. So we're going to talk a little bit about technology at meetings and all of that kind of stuff. We got a very special guest, but just a quick note. I want everybody to realize that on Thursday, I'm going to be in a general session at Best Western. So Anthony and I can't do a live show. So I put together a great show of some of the amazing interviews that I did last week while we were at the lodging conference. And Anthony, that event, as you know, was just really killer.
Didn't I just ask you if we're having a podcast on Thursday?
Yes, and I totally forgot. But then producer Suzanne is so awesome, told me it's a pre-recorded show, and I was able to make it seem like I have my shit together. But thanks for ruining that for me. All right.
But, I want to say something. We're at the Nomad right now. I'm in my room, and the backdrop behind me is a divider, which I absolutely love. I know it's a little colorful. And I love what the Nomad does. My favorite hotel in Vegas. And I just want to shout out to all the wonderful people at the Nomad. Thank you very much.
Yes. Awesome. And what a great dinner at Carbone over at Aria last night. That was a whole lot of fun.
And the waiter was like, when we talk about service and standards and people not caring, this waiter, I asked him, I said, were you a singer? He's a tall, good-looking guy, maybe 50 years old. And I said, were you a dancer or a singer? Or he goes, no, I just chase beaches, and I like hanging out at the beach. So he's been a waiter forever. and was probably in the top 3 waiters of all time.
Wow. Yeah, he
Wasn't
really
he?
was.
Wasn't he?
He really was.
He had
No
such style.
hyperbole. There was something about him that made you feel welcomed and warm, and you wanted him to hang out and talk to you.
Right. And if you know Carbone, it has that kind of like old school Italian, almost mafia feel, right? And like I felt like if somebody came in to whack me, he'd be like,
Right.
nah, sit down, have a plate of pasta. We'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, but tonight we'll be friends.
Tonight we eat pasta.
That's great. All right. So I do want to encourage everybody, if you're looking at a hotel investment, consider Radisson Hotels Americas. When I was at the lodging conference last week, it became evident they are a big player on the scene. Given all those big boy companies out there, a little bit of a run for their money. Jim Alderman, the CEO over there, is a great guy, really trustworthy, taking the company in a new direction. And our friend Phil Hugh, Chief Development Officer, thank you, Phil, for supporting the No Vacancy podcast over here, is a really, really great guy. And with them and the other execs that they have on, Anthony, I'm really excited to see the future of this. So I want everybody to check in. If you want to do a development, go give them a consideration.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So should we get into this? We got a great guest with us today, huh?
We have one of my favorites.
Yep. Excellent. Well, let's welcome Shannon McCallum, now with Volan Technology, where she's Vice President of Hospitality and Customer Success. How are you, Shannon?
Oh, fantastic. It's so great to see you guys again.
Yeah, I forgot my glasses at my hotel room over at the MGM Grand, so I could barely see you, but you do, from what I could tell, look spectacular. Your shape, you look great. Just can't tell.
So last time, did we speak during the pandemic?
We did. I think it's been about a year since we spoke, and I think it was last August, a year ago, August.
Well, we were together right before COVID happened, and so last time we were in Vegas, we were in that suite, and we did a lot of videos, and it was in January of 2019.
It was actually the end of February, and it was during the Forbes Travel Guide event that was hosted at Aria Resort and Casino, and that was right before the shutdown happened.
Wow, it was in February.
Yeah,
so it really was.
That was dude. Between that and actually, you're speaking of Radisson, Shannon. Right after the Forbes event, I went over to another resort that shall be nameless, and Radisson Hotel Americas was doing their annual conference, and then right after that, things started to get a little fuzzy out there. That's my phone.
So Shannon, tell us what you're doing now, and then we want to ask you about 637 questions.
Right, maybe 658 if we have time.
So now I'm with Volan Technology, and I was so fortunate during my tenure.
It seems like when you became a victim of the COVID crisis, you wound up there in about 8 minutes. I think I drive home, you got the job.
It was really much quicker than I thought it was going to be. You're so right. But, during my time with MGM Resorts, I had the availability of really looking at a lot of technology. And as you know, Aria has been very technology forward.
Well, let's just give everybody a quick lesson on that. I mean, when that property opened, it's 10 years now?
Oh, more than that.
Over 10 years. 2009, December, it opened.
Oh, my God. So when that opened in December of 2009, they really changed the whole idea of what a hotel room could be with technology. It was the first room that really brought everything together with a console, and you could control everything in there. And the whole property was very focused on being ahead of the curve technologically wise. So I just wanted to let people know that.
And Shannon, you were right there. I mean, your position when it opened what was your title?
I joined about 6 months after opening, so I missed the initial opening, but I was with MGM Resorts for 10 years and at Aria for 9 of those.
Wow.
So you were right there. So
do you know anything about the Aria scent? Because that thing is very, very distinctive. I love it. And I smelled something like that at another resort around the world. And I'm like, this is Aria. You can't have their scent.
It is a signature scent that they actually sell in the retail shop. That's so correct. But, I was so fortunate during my time at Aria to be able to work with technology. And when you talk about a quick transition after I left MGM Resorts, you're right. It happened so quickly. I really thought that I was going to take a little bit of time for myself and then found a really unique technology company to join.
And what makes them unique? Why is it to attract someone like you of your talent and caliber? They must be special. So tell me why they're special.
It's all about people positioning and using data in order to make your operation safer and more efficient. And of course, with being in hospitality for over 35 years, there's really nothing more important than keeping your guests and your employees safe. And this company started in education doing security and panic style technology for teachers in classrooms. So if an
Right.
emergency happened in a classroom, they could actually geolocate where that teacher was in the school and to be able to send resources to help. And then also to initiate like an action, like an evacuation, a shelter in
Right.
place, or a lockdown.
Wow.
And the timing of me joining the company was really to launch the hospitality division for this company, to bring that safety and security to hospitality. However, the way that they did geolocation, which is by proximity, duration,
Right.
and frequency, enabled them to be able to do contact tracing in addition to the CDC guidelines.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's where it really got
Yeah.
interesting this last year.
Wow. So how has that worked to help bring confidence and success to Volan's Volan's customers that are looking to host events in their properties, for example?
Well, what was really unique is it wasn't really created in order to
Right.
supplement technology at meetings and events. However, very quickly, we could see that it could really add not only contact tracing capabilities, but also data analytics for meeting planners.
Right.
So we took some time last year about this time to really drill down into how can we apply this technology to meetings and events as a tool in order to be able to build attendee confidence, and
Mhm.
then also provide an additional layer of safety to meetings and events. And this technology actually can do contact tracing across thousands of people in just minutes. And of course, the benefit to that is it reduces risk and it enables a meeting planner to avoid a super spreader style event.
Right. And that is absolutely essential because people don't want to get involved in those. In fact, I was at an event in the hospitality industry this summer in July that Anthony also went to. One of the issues that we saw that there was LA put in a mask mandate, and it kind of ruined the pall of the event because it came last minute. It ruined people's confidence. It didn't make them want to interact as much. But with technology such as what you're talking about, in jurisdictions where masks aren't required, it's got to make people feel a whole lot better and more comfortable, I would assume.
Absolutely. And it really goes hand in hand with health screenings or temperature checks and pre-tests in order to be able to go to a meeting. But what happens when an attendee goes through those pre-health checks? That's where it stops, is at the door. So
Mhm.
what happens during the meeting if Anthony decides to go out and have 5 beer with a college roommate in the evening
Right.
and then go back to the conference the next day? The
Mhm.
contact tracing actually is a handshake to that health screening to make sure that during the event, while Anthony or others are within the meeting space,
Mhm.
that those micro interactions are accumulated over the period of days. And if Anthony gets sick at that meeting, a contact trace can be done quickly to identify those most at risk.
So, what are you seeing right now with meetings and conventions? I'm sure it's all over the board. Some are going forward, some are being canceled. What are you seeing?
Yes, and if you could speak to the jurisdictions that you're aware of, then I've got something I want to talk about in New York as well. Shannon?
Well, absolutely. We started doing meetings in January, so no one had been vaccinated at that time. So it was
Right.
really interesting. And we partnered with Al High and Mike Dominguez in order to put a prototype in place in order to place this additional
Mike
health.
Dominguez, you mean Mike Dominguez, who used to be in charge of sales for MGM Resorts like 5 years ago?
Correct.
Right.
He's been a fabulous partner to us, helping us really build out the technology so that it's a great fit for meeting planners
Mhm.
and to be able to identify the flow and do really a white paper on how the technology works for the industry. Then, as we went through the year, we started to see more people getting vaccinated in the March, April time period, where
Mhm.
15% of the people were vaccinated and 85% weren't, and then flipped to 85% vaccinated and 15% weren't.
Right.
Then no masks because people were feeling very confident at that time, and they felt like
Right.
maybe these additional health measures weren't needed.
Right.
Then, of course, the summer came and we did a large convention, almost 2,000 people at Mandalay Bay
Concrete?
in Las
Oh, no,
Vegas.
Medley, right. Mhm.
And a lot of people are saying, I'm vaccinated. Why do I need to be contact traced at this event?
Right.
And so things turned very quickly because, of course, the infection rate started going back up. So meeting planners were looking for more protocols because they wanted to keep their meetings on the books. They didn't want them canceled.
Right.
Or they were within their cancellation policy and it was going to cost a lot to move the meeting or to cancel it. So, and that's really where these additional measures come into play, because they really provide additional confidence in the meeting that the meeting planner is doing everything possible in order to make it a safe environment for their attendees.
Yeah, I went to one event earlier this year that used Clear Health Pass, for example. When I was in Edmonton, Canada for the Alberta Hotel and Lodging Association the week before last, they had put in a vaccine mandate, which is also in New York City, which I'll get into a second. Before I could even go into the event, they had to check my ID versus my vaccination card. And then I got a special bracelet that said that I am good to go. Then we walked into the event and everybody's like, we're all vaccinated, we're all healthy. Why are we still wearing these masks? So it started to get a little weird in that sense. But as soon as everybody had a drink in their hand, the mask kind of came off. So whether or not you are comfortable with that, that's kind of the reality of it. When I was in Arizona last week for the lodging conference, they had signs everywhere. Thank you, Harry Jaber, for putting on an incredible event. Liz, thank you. You did a great job. And the whole team over there. But they had signs that were like, please wear your masks, but maybe 5% of people were wearing them throughout the event. So everybody felt pretty comfortable there. And they did a lot of it outdoors, which was really nice as well. But my biggest concern, Shannon and Anthony, is New York City. There are two big events that are coming in November, one rescheduled, one that always goes off in November. With the vaccine mandates and a lack of international travel, I'm getting concerned about the viability for large scale events in places such as New York City that have more stringent rules in place than areas such as Arizona, where I was at.
But are they saying that they're going to cancel those events or no?
The one of the events didn't even put up their agenda until like a couple of days ago.
But it hasn't been canceled. Not
yet. I don't think it will. I'm concerned that these events just aren't going to do great. I think they'll happen, but I'm afraid that the attendance is going to be super suppressed because they are New York events.
But you know what, Glenn? Good news is that they're happening.
Yes,
and I think
agreed.
It's a first step.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
It's a first step, and it's important. And like you said, Saturday night, you were in Times Square, and you said you've never seen Times Square busier.
It was amazing. Well, maybe on New Year's Eve, but other than that.
Oh, by the way, we have to talk about that. But anyway, So Shannon, besides what you do, you're very tapped in, obviously, to Vegas. Where are we in Vegas? Where are the numbers? Are the tours that are coming in, are they making up for some of that lost corporate business?
I think we've been very lucky as a destination to be so busy as we have this last 18 months. After the city reopened, a lot of leisure traffic came to Las Vegas, especially from California. So a lot of drive-in traffic. Eventually, of course, the flight traffic did come back as well. But again, it was more so that leisure and independent traveler than it was business travel and conventions, because the conventions took a little bit more time in order to come back. There was a lot of confusion about how do we bring people back safely. And it took some time to not only figure that out and to make sure that teams that were facilitating the events were safe, but also how do we ensure that the guests feel safe as they're coming in. Now, we have seen quite a lot of conventions happening, and that's so exciting for the city. Now, due to the restrictions on international travel with Canada and Europe, it has not necessarily been, the occupancies haven't been quite as high with convention guests, due to the restrictions and the inability for some attendees to come. However, I do feel that we're seeing some momentum, and it is a positive momentum, which is great for the city because we still have many people in the meetings and events business that aren't back to work yet. And it would be really great to be able to see the convention centers full and the hotel meeting space full in order to be able to really heal that part of the industry.
Well, I'd like to speak to that for just 1 second in regard to the Best Western conference that's happening right now at MGM Grand. It was originally supposed to take place in Hawaii, but the restrictions that Hawaii has for folks like Canada made it so the Best Western people felt that they needed to move the event here. So they moved it here, and they're trying to do the best that they can to make sure that their Canadian travelers have an easy time. Now, when I went to Canada, I had to get a PCR test. It was a whole hassle, et cetera, et cetera. So what they've done is they've set it up so there's a place you could go and have confidence, get your test done, know it's going to be done within the time frame it needs to be, and then get you on your way. So I like that they're taking control of the situation like that. So anecdotally speaking, though, when you have more leisure travelers than business travelers, it was my hunch that all the rising prices we saw before coronavirus hit was all about the conference dollar, the expense accounts and stuff like that. So what do you think? Again, anecdotally, I know you're not intimately involved in the day-to-day of a casino operation right now. How do you think the spend is for people now per person compared to what it might have been when the conventions were at their maximum in 2019?
Well, I would anticipate that spend is down overall. The average, revenue that's being brought in by per person, per room, wouldn't be what, Las Vegas was seeing before. However, not all business travel and not all convention travel has stopped.
Right, correct.
And I think it's really about continuing ahead. We need to get back to business, but we have to do so in a safe way in order to continue to build that. And I think that we're seeing it happen. And it really just needs to continue. And with vaccinations and the requirement for vaccinations to attend shows, the wearing of masks, the protocols in place, contact tracing, all of this will help the industry heal, which will again bring back that revenue. But you're never going to see the same kind of per person spend with a leisure guest.
That's right.
Who is potentially purchasing their room on a third party website.
I know, bringing in coolers of alcohol and all of that kind of stuff.
And I'm not saying every leisure guest is like that, but are they the ones that are dining in Carbone like you did? Or are they looking for less expensive options because they're looking to spend less money?
Well, Glenn was looking for a less expensive option, so he told me to pay. So.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that was probably the best option that I have is when Anthony picks up the dinner.
It's interesting with cities coming back with slowly, especially Vegas coming back stronger than most, but still slower. It's almost a godsend that it's not coming back 100%, especially with corporate, because the employees, you just can't find any. I mean, we're interviewing someone from WSOP tomorrow, but the WSOP, the World Series of Poker, is in town. I was over there the first night I came here, and they said they're about 2/3 down on employees. So I can't imagine how you're running an event with 2/3 of your employees didn't come back to work. But so it seems to me with such a difficult workforce, finding people, if we were 100% with the conventions, would they be able to sustain it? Would they be able to have enough employees to do the conferences?
Well, I mean, you're totally right. I mean, I think there is a struggle right now to find good people. I'm seeing job fairs, being advertised everywhere. I do think that there's a mix of reasons of why that is. Some of it's child care. There's maybe not enough affordable options for childcare. There's also some people who are still nervous about working in an environment where they're exposed every single day and taking that home.
Yep.
But it's and the way that guests travel is different. Convention guests are a very different traveler than leisure guests. So they're spending less time in their room, more time in convention space. The rooms are typically easier to clean because there are maybe one person per room instead of 3 or 4 people per room. So it is a tough market right now. And
I will say, Shannon, one of the other reasons I would think is besides everybody, there's a lot of people reevaluating what they want from their lives. But that aside, a major casino Resorts World opened on June 23rd. That took like 6,000 jobs. So, you have all of these different things opening. And I see a lot of retail, a lot of restaurants are getting set to open. I see a lot of now hiring signs. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging as the base for needed employees continues to expand here in town again.
But I think that that's such a great thing because Las Vegas was one of those cities that was probably the hardest hit in the country because of the dependence on hospitality within the city. And that's not going to change anytime soon. If you choose to live in Las Vegas, more than likely you're going to be working for hospitality or supporting hospitality. So I do think that people will come back. I think some people have maybe taken a little extra time if they could to spend with their children. Maybe their children were doing homeschooling and they really wanted to stay home to be able to oversee that process. But I do feel like it's going to come back and people will come here if they are looking for a job. Because Vegas is always going to be one of those cities that is going to be bustling and exciting, and people are going to want to be a part of that.
What's interesting is, especially the experienced employees. I was over at one of the newer hotels, and I was in a little poker tournament with my friend who came from New York with me. We're just hanging out, and 2 dealers that I have noticed from other hotels, name nameless, they were not MGM properties. And I said, "What are you doing over here?" And one of the gentlemen who's been dealing for 15 years said they wouldn't give me part-time, and I really just want to retire but get out of the house. So I asked, and he's one of the best dealers, I think, in Vegas. And I said, why wouldn't they give you part-time? They said they wouldn't work with me. They said during tournaments I'd have to work full-time, and then I can get some part-time. And he goes, I don't want that. And they wouldn't be flexible with probably one of the best poker dealers I've ever met.
That's a mistake.
And they lost them. And the new hotel, I was like, so what do you think of this hotel? And he's like, oh my God, they're so amazing. You're so flexible. I love working here. I should have worked here. I wish it was open years ago. So like being able to keep those experienced employees, to be able to just almost push them out and say, okay, listen, you can't work it under our rules. And that's what me and Glenn have been talking about a lot, is that these executives, especially middle-aged executives, are just not getting it. It's like, you got to work with people. You got to be flexible. It was just fascinating that they would let a guy like him, who really was exciting to be around when he was dealing. He's always making people laugh. He's always saying something silly, and it breaks up the monotony of the game. And it was just fascinating that they wouldn't do everything they can to keep him.
Well, sometimes the positions are union, and I don't know if this position at that particular hotel was, but there are certain restrictions of really working around schedules. So it's hard to say whether that property had the ability to be able to provide what they were asking for, just to give the benefit of the doubt to whatever the property is. However, you're right. I think that the industry as a whole is changing, and I think hospitality has to become more flexible. We need to reevaluate wages to make sure that working at Chipotle, you're not making more money than you are at the front desk of a property. I mean, those are really, really important considerations when people are going into hospitality. Traditionally, it's been thought of as a very low paying role until you actually get higher up on the totem pole, and that you almost have to do your time in order to be able to achieve that status where it makes sense. And I think that we need to, as a whole, look at things a little bit differently and understand what we need to do in order to help the industry heal and to attract talented workers to properties, because there are expectations of delivering upon excellence at most of these properties. And you can't do that if you don't have a committed team that buys into the culture that they're at.
We were just having this conversation. My friend has a son, 22 years old, Mark. He's coming here. He's going to work at MGM. And so yesterday we were spending time and, kind of getting me acclimated to Vegas. And we had this conversation last night, me and Mark, who's 22 years old, and is like he looks like his energy is like my energy. So especially when I was 22. And
I can't imagine you at 22.
So I have more energy now, actually. Yeah. And so we have the same sensibilities, same understanding of this business. And his father was like, well, what you do is you kind of put on a show for your guest and kind of just, do what you need to do to make them happy. And it's all, and I was like, no, you don't get it. And we couldn't get through his mind that we have a need to take care of people. Like, it's a need. It's not like I've never played a guest just to get what I needed out of the guest. It's like never once in all the years I've done this did I ever think that way. It's like I have a need that when you walk away, like almost like to pat me on the head and go, good boy. Like I need that reassurance that no matter what position I've had in this industry, that you're happy with me. I feel like a little boy that looking for the approval of their parents. And that's how I feel. And the young man, Mark, felt the same way. He goes, oh, Dad, you don't understand it. It's like, we don't think about that. We just think about, we want to take care of people. And you got to find those people. And that's why I'm so blessed and honored to be able to take a kid like him from New York, who's really on fire and know he's going to do great things, and put him in this environment, because he walked through the casino yesterday, you go into the men's room, and he looked like he owned the MGM. He looked like he owned the building. I was like, that's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Shannon, did you want to respond?
I think that that's just so important. I think when we get into volume operations, sometimes we forget that the guest is not a number and how many people we have checking in on a given day. It's about understanding that some of our guests, especially those coming on anniversaries and birthdays, may have saved their money for 6 months or a year. in order to have an amazing experience, and how can we as individuals make that experience so special for them that we're building loyalty year after year, that we are the destination that they're going to come back to. And I think that's where we need to be really careful about making this an efficiency operation,
Right.
and really maintain the focus on the guest experience, and to be able to deliver on that. And you need special people that feel hospitality in their hearts. If you don't feel hospitality in your hearts, you have a difficult situation. The guests can tell.
Right.
You just don't care.
Yeah, hospitality in your hearts. I like that. I'm going to use that. And when you walk into a place like last night, they said, "Hey, they made an announcement. We want to thank everybody in the room for coming, to choosing us to spend time with us, play poker. We really
Nice.
appreciate your business." Like, that little thing really made a big difference. And I'll tell you, some of the poker rooms in this city are really going downhill, and because they've been doing it for so long, and it's just kind of take a number, sit over there and be quiet, and we'll get to you. And what I said the other day, it's like we get treated like poker players. And if you and Shannon, you know what I mean. And it's like, don't treat us like poker players. Like, we're humans. Like, we spend money. Like treat us nicely. And that room is a delightful room. It really is.
Yeah. That is so true. So, Shannon, this sounds like an issue that you're probably thinking about as part of your role as the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association, right? So how are you all thinking about reinventing hospitality, and how, for example, does your inaugural technology conference coming up on December 1st kind of reflect that?
Well, thank you so much, Glenn, for bringing that up. I've had the wonderful opportunity to be involved with the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association with Diane Gandy and Irving Pemblanco for over 8 years as an executive board member, and now as the co-chair of the technology committee for the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association. It's the first year that we've actually had a technology committee. And really, it's in this last 18 months, we've seen how important technology is in order to bring our business back, make it more efficient, deliver upon the guest experience, provide options for them for arrival, during their stay, that can be contactless if that's what they want. And we have a number of members who are within the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association that provide technology to hospitality. So we've created a technology conference, which is going to be on December 1st. And it's a full day conference that we'll have vendor demonstrations, educational sessions, a Shark Tank-like event for both UNLV students who are working in technology, also with vendors who have new technology that they want to showcase. So we're very excited to be holding it at the Caesars UNLV Blackfire Innovation Center in Las Vegas. And, very excited to be able to have vendors come and join us to showcase their technology to hoteliers in Las Vegas.
What type of technologies are you most excited about coming into the fold right now to help empower success for hoteliers?
There's so much technology that is new and up and coming. There's, I just saw a technology the other day called Nobal, and it is like a smart mirror, and you can have them in the guest rooms. And at the bottom, there's a place where children can actually color, and on the mirror, virtually color. But it also gives you information as well about your stay, what's going on in the hotel. And it functions as a mirror, so it's multifunctional. So I think it's not about having technology for technology. It's about really having a purpose and understanding, what does it bring to the table? Is it going to keep the guests safe? Is it going to keep the employees safe? Is it going to better the guest experience? Is it going to better the employee experience? Will it make the operation efficient without replacing service or those touch points that are so important with the guests?
And
so,
those points become more important. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Anthony.
No, I was just going to say the touch points are more critical now because they're fewer. There's less touch points.
And each guest should have the ability of choosing their path, choosing their experience. If I come to a hotel and I don't want to stand in line at the front desk and check in, I should have the option to check in on my phone. Or maybe there's devices in the lobby that I can choose instead, so I can control my experience. Especially guests who have been to the same property 5, 10, 15, 20 times. They don't need to ask the questions that a first-time guest who might be from out of country needs to ask. And they are more concerned with the efficiency of their time and getting to dropping their bags in their room, getting to their convention or getting to the poker table than they are standing in line. So again, it's about how do we better the guest experience without without making it impersonal. And that's where this conference is so great, because hoteliers are so busy and so wrapped up in their operations, they often don't have time to go out and seek technology. So
And
the
those, and
ability
those
to be
guests
able
keep
to,
getting, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
I said those guests keep getting in the way of our meetings.
Yeah, I mean, and it's important. They're focused on what's most important, their employees and their guests. However,
Right.
to have an opportunity to go to one location for one day and learn about 27 new technologies within one day is extremely efficient with their time. So that's what we're hoping to bring, is really that benefit of really educating, talking about concepts that are important in the industry, and then showcasing new technology for hoteliers.
Well, I know a podcast team that would love to be there that day and help you
Yeah.
guys, kick it off. But I know MGM was working on the remote key for a long time, or and what is it called? The phone key,
Remote check-in, keyless entry.
Yeah, keyless entry. And so my friend that checked in 2 days ago, they couldn't stop talking about it. They
Really?
said, "Oh, they couldn't." Mark was so excited that they used it for the elevator, that they used to check in, and they were really, really excited about it. And the thing that I didn't know this existed, and they really got excited about, was they're staying at the MGM. I'm staying here at the Nomad, and we're kind of popping to hotels to show them. So they've been driving to several different MGM properties, and they have a technology that when they drive into the parking lot, it tells them which parking spots
I
are
love that.
available.
114 spots on level 3 available. I love
Right.
that. You see the green light, right?
Yeah. So they really, he kept on talking about it. That's all he kept on talking about. And that's something that's so simple that we should have had 10 years ago. But that he really saw that as a game changer, and probably will choose to come back here simply because of that technology.
Oh, I agree. I think anything that makes the guest experience better and more efficient is really what you need. And I agree. Those lights in the parking lots, if I go to a parking garage that doesn't have them, that's all I'm thinking about. Oh, they need to have those lights.
That's great. Now, speaking about efficiencies, when I checked in yesterday, they wanted to tell me everything that was going on at the property, and all I kept thinking about was, I got 25 minutes till I have a dinner reservation. I know where the elevators are. Don't worry. So I'm one of those real low maintenance people, as odd as that might seem.
Well, no, and you should be able to tell as an employee checking someone in. You can really tell who just wants a key. And I actually didn't think I would use the remoteless entry, and I love it. I love it because but again, we've talked about this before. It becomes so much more important that the person that's vacuuming or cleaning becomes an integral part of the service standard. And I'm seeing the opposite of that in most hotels. I'm seeing that people are almost like this, looking the other way when a guest passes them. And if you're going to have that keyless entry, and to your point, Shannon, I'm a first-time visitor, maybe second-time visitor, and I can't remember exactly where everything is. If you have those people trained, you can sense, or even just have the lobby lizard, just have more of those people walking around, and just have those remote concierge walking around helping people. That's what people want. And last night, we dinner at Carbone was good. It was some of the best food I've ever had. But that waiter, he is somebody I will remember for the rest of my life. If I was doing a movie about waiters, I'd be like, you got to be the star of the movie. He was that good. And it's just those little moments. And he was busy, so he didn't spend hours with us. But it's those little moments. And it's the most frustrating thing I feel right now, is that because people are so busy, there's not enough employees, people are just trying to keep the lights on, that training has gone out the window. You can see it. There is almost no training in most hotels. Not talking about MGM, but in most hotels I've been, there's almost no training.
I think it's tough right now, and there's been so much change in the market, not having enough employees. I think many operations are just struggling to cover the operation. So the thought of taking people off the floor to train is probably not as top of mind as it was before. But I agree with you 1000%. If you're bringing technology in order to replace certain greetings or certain welcome experiences, then you need people to act as ambassadors to try to provide that personalized attention. But it's tough. I don't blame some of these operations, because they're really struggling in order to be able to cover with less available people, and they're trying to hire. And you're right, people have left the industry because maybe they felt like they couldn't count on hospitality while everything was closed and while there was this lengthy layoff period before they
Right.
went back to work. And I think many industries like technology received really some quality individuals that have stepped outside of hospitality, and that's going to
Stop
have
bragging about yourself, Shannon. But you're absolutely right on that particular point. All right, so we're running out of time rather quickly here, and I want to make sure that we cover the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Foundation, because much like the organization I talk about, the NEWH and the AHLF, which is the American Hotel and Lodging Foundation, you're very focused on giving back, helping family members or hospitality individuals with training and education, which folds in nicely to this. So what's going on over there?
Well, we launched NHLF in 2019 and really late in the year. And then it was really getting its wheels under it and COVID hit. And we're now at a place where we can actually start to get going again and hold events. And the whole purpose of NHLF, the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Foundation, is to fundraise money in order to be able to give grants to students who are taking hospitality courses. And it's really about building that pipeline of individuals to come back into the industry and to be able to do that in such a positive way to support the community, not only within Las Vegas, but within the state of Nevada. So we are working hard on a really exciting event that will be held in April of 2022, which is called the Great Chef Run. So our runners will have little chef hats and chef athletic shirts. Fun. And they're going to be running to raise money for NHLF in order to give back.
With chefs, I figured they were just running from their demons, but that makes more sense.
So
I
really
think that's great. That's on April 30th. And are you going to be running? They're going to be running up and down the strip, kind of like the Santa run that happens every fall.
It's a very similar concept to the Santa Run, except everybody's going to be dressed up as chefs. And it will be held off the strip, actually, at a local park. And we'll be able to release details as we get closer to the date. We were originally holding the event this fall, but with the spike in COVID, we thought that we would be responsible to the community as people are not wanting to run with their masks on. We thought April would be a great time of the year in order to be able to launch this big event, which we hope will be done yearly moving ahead.
Fantastic.
Great. Yeah. Anthony?
No, just fantastic. It's a great event. I'd like to be there for it. And as long as I don't have to run too far.
Shannon, before we wrap up, I've got one more important question to you for you. So as a former hotel sales executive, what advice would you have for career transitions to pivot into different industry as you've experienced? Because you're going from one set of skills, there's some overlapping ones, but definitely different ones. What was that transition like? What advice do you have for folks that are making that transition?
And in answering that, keep in mind, I'd like to understand from your perspective, being an executive here at MGM, high pressure job, lots going on, and then going back into, I'll call it the normal world. You only have to work 20 hours a day. Now. Did you have to kind of calm yourself a little bit and say, okay, this is different. Maybe the pressure's more, maybe there's more, maybe you have to be more passionate and energetic. I don't know. But I would imagine making that shift was like you almost had a conversation with yourself. It's like, okay, breathe a little bit. You're not on a treadmill, because in our business, we're on a treadmill 24/7. How was that?
First of all, I think that when we're in hotels, we have the opportunity to be able to go to school and get paid for it. So learn everything you can in the hotel. Just don't work in one area, work in multiple areas. And I think for me, working in every single area except for cooking in the kitchen, and they wouldn't want me to do that, I was able to build skills and be able to learn the entire picture of what's going on in hotels. That being said, I work 24/7, and I would be responding to text messages at 4:30 in the morning. And, and that's something that happens in hotels because the operation is 24/7, and floods happen in the middle of the night, and power outages and those kind of fun things. So moving to technology, I was able to do that because of the skills that I built when I was in hotels and the exposure that I had, really looking into different technologies for the properties that I worked at and building relationships. Moving to the vendor side, it's, building those relationships ended up being very important to me and ended up opening up doors outdoors. But the transition does come with a little bit more balance of life. I'm no longer messaging people on at 4 o'clock in the morning. However, I still have to remind myself that people do take weekends outside of hospitality.
They do. They do.
Guilty. I still send emails out on Sundays, and people that work with me are like, "Yeah, you do." But I think that that's something we're so used to trying to take care of things in such a speedy manner that I think that also is a benefit coming to the technology industry, because it sets you apart. Really being proactive about everything that you're touching. So learn everything you can, try different areas, get a mentor, really network within the community, and that will provide you with opportunities in the future. It's really about paying it forward when you're in your current role, and that will pay dividends in the future when you're really looking into new areas to discover for employment.
Show up, be on time, be nice to people, and people will take care of you. I remember going back to what you said before about texting people 4 o'clock in the morning. I had somebody say, Anthony, I'd appreciate if you don't text me at 7 a.m. on a Sunday. And what I said was, I'd appreciate it if you just put your phone on silent so I don't have to manage your schedule.
Right.
And he looked at me like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I put my phone on silent when I'm sleeping. So, but I text people when I feel like it because I don't want to forget.
Mhm.
And get back to me in an appropriate time. I don't expect you to get back to me on the Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Get back to me on Monday, but it's off my schedule.
Right.
Because in the hotel business, like my number one priority is to get everything off my schedule on somebody else's schedule.
Mhm. That's so true.
That's
so
also
true.
he does that with his whole life.
Because you have to. He knows that. But you know why? Because one of the things I've learned, Shannon, I didn't mean to interrupt, but one of the things I've learned is there's going to be something that pops up. 10 seconds of me sitting in my chair. I need to be available.
That's right.
If I am having to go to a meeting, I'm having to do this, having to do that, and everything stops because I'm dealing with a problem, that's a problem. So I always tried to do nothing. And if the quicker I can get to nothing, that means I have freedom to talk to the employee who's upset with his supervisor, talk to the guest that's pissed off at the manager that didn't do the right thing, to walk the floor and see that people aren't greeting people. If I'm, always on a schedule and always tight and always stressed, I'm not going to see the things that I need to see. I'm sorry.
Well, the one thing that you didn't say there too is you need to empower the people around you to be able to take care of things without needing to come to you for everything. And I think that is where we can help ourselves as leaders by making sure that we feel comfortable delegating. We can build people up so that they have the skills to take care of things. And that's how you are successful in hotels, because you can't be operational 24 hours a day. You have to trust the people that work on your team,
right,
that they will make the right decision. And oh, by the way, if the decision is maybe not the perfect decision, there's always an opportunity to talk about what options are available in the future that could lead to different outcomes, and do it in a supportive way so that they don't feel worried about making a decision in the future.
So good. We're going to do something. We're going to do a show, and it's going to be called "How to Talk to an Employee." And Shannon will be in one room, I'll be in another room, and an employee screws up. And how is Shannon going to speak to the employee, and how is Anthony going to speak to the employee? Mine's going to be like, hey, dude, good job. You tried your best, but you screwed up. Do better next time. How could we fix that? Because we don't want to, we screw up the guest. All right, have a great day. Shannon be like, okay, there's a great opportunity here. I always admired your ability to speak in a way that really, you really are clear in what your expectations are, but you're very professional.
Well, I appreciate that, but it is about instilling confidence in your people to be able to do the job and to be able to grow in a safe atmosphere. And if you don't do that, then people will be paralyzed and they won't be able to make a decision. They're going to call you for everything that comes up, and you can't operate a business like that.
Right. And I always had, depending on the person, right? I love giving people to delegate. And then if they do make a mistake, that's my favorite part, because one, you get to see their mindset. And if they do it over and over again, then you're like, okay, that person is good at that job, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to be successful at the next level. So let me see where I can keep them on this level and still keep them interested in their job, because they're good, but they're not wired right. Right. So it gives you an opportunity to really understand who is going to become a superstar. But there are people where you can come in, you have to be very sensitive and very soft. And there are people like me, if my boss says, get your head out of your ass, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'll do better next time. That resonates with me. And I just love when I see people given freedom. And because if they don't do a great job, that's okay. But when they do, it's like they just take off like a rocket ship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost impossible to get them back. And you just make sure that rocket ship doesn't explode. But that's the best part. And I think the gentleman that we bring, hopefully he's coming out to Vegas. I think he's a rocket ship. And I think our friend Mark G said, this isn't a ladder, this is a springboard. And I think he's right. I think this kid is on a springboard. If he does everything right,
But not just Mark. All young professionals that are serious about hospitality right now have that springboard opportunity. Mm-hmm. So it's the best time, again, as we talked about time again, to enter this incredible business.
Don't see it as a job.
Right.
See it as a profession.
Mm-hmm.
As a profession. If you see it as a profession, I mean, yesterday Mark was touring us around, and I call him Young Mark. He went to the mansions, and we had breakfast at the mansions. Mm-hmm. And there was just too many wows coming out of his mouth. Like, he's like, this exists? So, like, people don't realize how exciting this is. And I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I was blown away. So it's an exciting profession. And, people like you inspire me, Shannon. So thank you for being my friend, and thank you for being on the show. And I would love to participate in any way I can to help you with any fundraiser or any of those events you're working on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here. And you're right. Now is the time for young people to come into the industry. There's so many opportunities, and don't be afraid to learn and to really find out what it's all about. You can go off in so many different directions. And again, it's like going to school and getting paid for it. Mm-hmm. And you could really find your passion within hospitality. I know that I have, and hospitality has been very good to me.
Right. And it's been very good to Anthony. After all, Anthony's the one who says passion changes everything. So there's great opportunity out there. Shannon, thank you so much for being here one more time. Tell us about the event December 1st and how people can get engaged.
Absolutely. So the website is nvhotels.com. And if you are a hospitality vendor and you want to participate and get your technology in front of Las Vegas hoteliers, please come and register. Right. Also, if you are someone that wants to come to Las Vegas in order to be able to see that technology, we have attendee pricing as well, and a room block with discounted rates if you're coming from out of town. So we look forward to seeing you. It is at Caesars UNLV Blackfire Innovation Center on December the 1st, and it's a full day event, education, vendor trade show, and demonstrations.
Excellent. And I would suggest maybe a live No Vacancy podcast, but we'll see. Yes. We'll work that. Hopefully you can come back.
And one more thing, Shannon, is it okay if I give my young friend moving to Vegas your numbers so you can give him the ins and outs of Vegas?
Absolutely. I'm happy to help in any way.
Right, thank you, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. Have a great day. We appreciate you so much.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you. So that was super fun, Anthony. Technology really has the chance to help hoteliers do better while lowering the dependency on the total number of staff. So we're at a very exciting junction, I think, right now.
Yeah, and it was I can't say a good, a springboard for us to kind of really focus on technology, right. But it was necessary. And now I think people understand that technology is critical to the improvement of hospitality. But hope we don't lose sight of we still need to really train people on how to look people in the eye. It's not that hard.
All right, speaking of losing sight, sorry I didn't get to all of your questions today. I forgot my glasses in my room, so everything is really fuzzy for me right now, and I was having a hard time managing that. But one thing none of you guys should have a hard time managing is listening to our audio feed over there. Of course, you can find our podcast at Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, wherever else you get them. And if you want to talk to us, he's at Anthony Hotels, and I'm at Anthony, and I'm at Traveling Glenn. Hey, look at you. That looks just.
Why do I look so short?
I don't know. All right, everybody. It's so much fun to be together here with you, Anthony. I'll tell you. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, you've only got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See you tomorrow for the World Series of Poker. How cool is that going to be? My prediction is I say 3 words during the entire podcast. The betting pool is open. This guy's going to take over for sure. See you tomorrow. Laugh along with us. Have a great day.